New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Happy Friday, everyone. I'm your host, Barbara Jean. And now the good news. Well, we've got some great stories for you this evening. Might be this afternoon, depending where you are. Evening for me. So there's a shipwreck from years ago, the age of the real pirates of the Caribbean, found and filmed for the first time. Yeah, how exciting is that? In the real Caribbean, there were once real pirates. I think real pirates still exist. And now a team of archaeologists and filmmakers, they've discovered the first shipwrecks that can help tell the story of the golden age of piracy. Yes. Between the 1690s and the 1720s, a cast of pirates, including illustrious names as Blackbeard, Benjamin Hornigold, Calico Jack Rackham, and Anne Bonny, made Nassau on the island of New Providence their base. Their plans of attack were hatched, plundered, divided, and partied away. Rum was presumably drunk, and songs were presumably sung during this golden age. Now, with the first ever permission to dive in the closed zone of Nassau Harbor, the New Providence Pirates Expedition and Wreck Watch TV have discovered 6 wrecks. 3 tied to the iconic golden age of piracy, of which these figures were chiefly involved in leading. Thanks to Hollywood, everyone loves the legend, but beyond the fantasy, nobody knows how these sea dogs really lived, what their pirate town looked like, and what happened to the vehicles of their mayhem, wooden ships. So at the height of the piracy in 1718, Woodes Rogers, governor of New Providence, spotted 40 wrecks burned and sunk by pirates on Nassau's shore. Throughout the golden age of piracy, 1,000 sea dogs settled in the port town. Until now, not one of their ships has ever come to light in their home waters. Nassau Harbor is huge. The tides flush dangerous currents through its waters twice a day. It's home to notorious packs of sharks. This was a risky expedition with high chances of finding nothing. Through dives in and around Nassau, and thanks to knowledge from local divers, 6 wrecks were discovered. Iron cannons, a grinding stone for sharpening swords, and lead musket balls were found 21 miles east of Nassau. The crystal clear visibility was incredible. The whole wreck was laid out before us, says project coordinator Dr. Michael Pateman. The ship was heavily armed, especially with swivel guns, the cannon of choice for pirates. Slotted onto deck rails, these anti-personnel weapons raked devastating fire on enemy crews. Inside the harbor, the team found a stone ballast pile still pinning down its wooden hull. The ship's planks and frames were connected by wooden tree nails on 18th century shipbuilding style, and the hull was charred. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is like real life, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Midway through the project, the team got a tip-off about another 18th century wreck beneath Nassau's old bridge, guarded by a mean bull shark. The cutting of an underwater pipeline and the construction of a modern marina had suddenly destroyed all the remains. Never say never in archaeology, Kingsley remarks. We decided to take a look and were shocked to see hull planks, rigging, glass bottles, and bricks from the ship's cooking galley still preserved. Dozens of clay tobacco pipes were sticking out of the sand next to the splintered wooden shipping crates. Look at that. How cool. Oh my gosh. Nassau's history is deep and colorful. Blue seas, exquisite landscapes, and endless visibility for diving, making this place incredibly special to film. Well, anybody interested in pirate stories? Well, you might want to take a trip to the Caribbean. I'm just saying. What a cool story. That's pretty interesting. All right. Well, they've got lots of these in Alberta, and it's nice to see this one in California. 3 mule deer just inaugurated California's newest wildlife crossing bridge. Good for drivers, good for deer. A California wildlife overpass is already providing popular with the local deer, and it's not even finished yet. In what is certainly a ringing endorsement for the $20 million bridge, 3 mule deer were caught on camera traps using the bridge to safely cross I-97 in Siskiyou County. The wildlife overpass was designed to provide animals with a safer way to cross the highway while helping reduce wildlife vehicle collisions for motorists traveling through the corridor. Commissioned by the California, the complete version will have trees right the way across it, but the deer didn't feel like waiting around. This particular corridor of I-97 starts about 20 miles south of the bridge near Weed and continues up to Canada, bisecting migrating routes for deer, elk, bison, and other animals. Vehicles killed over 50 deer and 16 elk in the area between 2015 and 2020, and any of which could have seriously injured the driver. In addition to the bridge, 8-foot-high fencing will ensure that animals 3 miles north of or south of the bridge will be funneled towards it and not have an alternate route onto the road. While the contractor is still completing final touches, it's incredible to see wildlife already embracing the new structure, even with workers still in the area. In addition to deer, a bobcat and other wildlife have been spotted using it. This is great. It's great for cars, it's great for the drivers, and it's obviously great for wildlife. Well, on that note, we're going to take a short little commercial break, and we will be back with more good news. I'm Barbara Jean, and this is Friday Night on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Well, here's a heartwarming soccer news. Arsenal donates old football socks to sick horses and donkeys. Yes, socks are the pinnacle of lousy gifts. Use socks so much, the worse. But for these horses and donkeys, they're every child's dream. That's because these fancy red socks were donated by the players of the recently crowned title winners Arsenal FC. The footless socks have been used as dressings for horses and donkeys recovering from surgery and to help keep insects off any sore legs at their horse hospital in Norfolk. Nicola Knight from Red Wing said the donation was one of the more unusual. the organization had received, but would nevertheless be a game changer. The socks are being used for anything from protecting our rescued residents' sensitive legs from flies to holding their vet bandages in place. How cool is that? They're also protecting them from head collar rubs and even holding back the hair on their legs while they get their feet trimmed. They are a fantastic bit of a kit, and we're so pleased that Arsenal reached out to us. Contrary to American preconceptions, English football can be a brutal old game, and while a jersey or a pair of shorts might survive to be washed and worn again, socks rarely survive the flurry of cleats, kicks, and sliding challenges endured over 90 minutes of this beautiful game. Michael Lloyd, Arsenal's FC's operational sustainability manager, came up with the idea of donating the players' unwanted or too used to use socks and contacted Red Wings. We're always looking for ways to reduce waste and make a positive impact through the actions we take as a club. And it's great we can work together to repurpose old kit towards the care and well-being of animals. How sweet is that? And don't they just look so cute with their socks on? All right, well, here's some really good news. A U.S. nonprofit again wipes out millions in hospital bills, this time for 97,000 residents of Connecticut. Yes, the nation's largest buyer of overdue medical debts has yet again relieved the burden of past hospital expenses for thousands of Americans. Having worked with state governments in Arizona and Maine, undue medical debt has now eliminated some $6.5 million in unpaid medical bills for 97,000 residents of Connecticut. It's thanks to a program set up by the state that paired leftover money from a COVID-19 relief package with money raised by undue medical debt through donations, and is the fourth such round of this debt relief. To qualify, Connecticuters, I like that, must either owe medical debt worth 5% or more of their annual income, or their income must be or below the federal poverty level. This is exactly the program that Arizona already ran for its residents with the help of UMD, one which saw 352,000 Arizonans, receive a letter in the mail explaining how their debts had been paid off for pennies on the dollar. One can only imagine the relief. Yeah, no kidding. No one need apply or take any action for that matter, as the Good News Network, where we get a lot of our stories, has reported before. UMD has a thoroughly random and indiscriminate way of choosing which debts to erase, ensuring no favoritism. It's all down to how the concept of wiping out medical debt came about. A hospital may have claimed on someone's money for care already provided, and even if it's worth $100,000, if the patient can't pay it back in anything other than tiny installments, it suddenly begins to look quite worthless to a hospital administrator. The hospital could take legal action, but there's no guarantee they would collect, and it's expensive to pay the legal fees resulting. So undue medical debt, UMD, comes into the picture and offers $5,000 in immediate cash payments to take that claim off their hands, essentially buying the debt for pennies on the dollar. The hospital gets to balance its books, and everyone gets to feel better about themselves. The program is expected to continue through the end of the year. I was happy to have supported the legislation a few years ago, says Representative Kevin Brown Vernon. He told NBC News local affiliate. I'm glad that the governor is continuing to commit to this. I want to make sure that folks are able to feel comfortable that they can go to the doctor and not have to worry about that medical debt as much as they might have before. I'll tell you, in Canada, we don't have that. We can go to the doctor whenever we want, but it must be pretty scary to not be able to do that. And yeah, I can't imagine. Okay, this story is very cool. This is one of my favorite stories ever. I'm a huge fan of piano music. Doesn't really matter what genre. And this story just made me giggle. I just loved it. So, from a beam of limelight in Sydney comes a story of a young man fulfilling something of a dream as he stepped in to perform on stage after a professional pianist felt ill. La La Land, starring Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, is an homage to Hollywood and the dream of making it on the silver screen, and a live performance of the lauded score was in full swing at the Darling Harbour Theatre in the Australian city. Among the onlookers were Sterling Nassau and his friend Scarlett, admiring the score played by an orchestra beneath the projection of the screen on a large projection of the film on a large screen. By the interval, it had proven a real treat. But 20 minutes became 30, which quickly became 40, and the audience was restless. Something wasn't right, and everybody knew it. Among the panic and cold sweat backstage, calls were going out to colleagues' institutes looking for replacements as the concert pianist felt too sick to go on. But since the show must, the film's Oscar-winning composer and conductor, Justin Hurwitz, walked out alone to address the audience. I figured nobody as close as they say they are, so I just thought, well, we have 2,500 people in here. Hurwitz asked if there were a trained pianist in the audience who was a master sight reader. And with the admitted help of Scarlett, Mr. Nassau eventually raised his hand. Hurwitz realized he had to be deadly serious about the proposal, knowing the score as he did and asking several follow-up questions. But to the sound of applause, Nassau walked down and took his place at an electronic piano in the orchestra. Understandably nervous, the bagpipes tutor at his school of Scots College had studied piano and organ, but he had no preparation. The score, featuring John Lennon compositions, was intense, and he had never played it despite being a longtime admirer of Hurwitz's work. The show restarted with Nassau filling in until the ultimate test came in the form of a synth solo composed by Legend for a particular part in the film where the notes try to keep pace with Gosling's frantic on-screen movements. I saw it on the score and I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sight read that in one go. I took a little bit of a creative liberty and just decided to improvise, which I think I ended up being a good choice, Nassau admitted. Hurwitz agreed, saying it was an entirely different kind of skill and an entirely unexpected turn of events that left the 2,500-seat hall enraptured by the hidden talent that had not long earlier sat among them. Shaking hands backstage after the final bow was full of mutual disbelief, with Hurwitz admitting his head was spinning. Yes, it was a gamble, he said, but one which paid off. Can you imagine? I think that happened in hockey here once too. Somebody out of the blue ended up playing goaltender. Just, yeah. All right, there's a Memphis woman whose split second decision may have saved a child's life. A Memphis mother is being praised after her quick action helped bring a lost little girl to safety, proving that sometimes all it takes is one caring person to make a world of difference. What started as an ordinary Monday morning became an unforgettable experience for Jabril Walls when she spotted a young child wandering alone in the middle of a street in the Fraser neighborhood of Memphis, Tennessee. Walls had just dropped off her own children at school and was headed to her grandmother's house when she noticed something alarming. I found her walking in the middle of the street, Walls recalled. Without hesitation, she pulled over and positioned her vehicle to help shield the child from traffic before approaching her. The frightened 3-year-old girl immediately ran toward Walls, searching for comfort. I opened my car door, put my arms out, and she ran to me and said she wants mommy and daddy. Once the child was safe, Walls and her grandmother set out to find the family. The little girl remembered a few details that could help, including that she lived in a gray and white house and had left her shoes behind. Using those clues, the pair searched nearby homes while also reaching out to authorities for assistance. After not being able to find anyone, I took her to the fire station, contacted the police. Walls said everything was done. Thankfully, the story ended exactly the way everyone hoped. The child was reunited with her family. According to Walls, the child appeared healthy, loved, and well cared for. She believes the situation was simply an accident and encouraged others to lead with compassion rather than criticism. It takes a village, Walls said. So I also extended my love to their baby and was able to be her guide because it takes a village. Looking back, Walls is grateful she happened to be in the right place at the right time. She noted that the little girl could have faced any number of dangers while being alone. Thank God that I was able to be there at that time, she said. I'm just glad I was able to make the baby feel safe. Lovely. Not everybody would have stopped. Way to go, Walls. Good job. All right. Well, this mom never thought her daughter would get to go to prom. Then this special night happened. A teenage girl with a rare neurological disorder got a prom night many thought might never happen, thanks in part to a lifelong friend who proudly took her as his date. For years, Jamie Austin worried that many of the milestone moments other families take for granted might never happen for her daughter, Lily. Then one unforgettable evening changed that. 15-year-old Lily Austin attended a special prom celebration in Greensboro, North Carolina, with her date, Oliver, a friend she had known her entire life. For Lily's family, the night was more than a dance. It was a powerful reminder that kindness, inclusion, and friendship can create moments that feel extraordinary. It was so special and so healing for me from my mom heart to be able to see her experience something so normal, Jamie said. Lily lives with Rett syndrome, a rare genetic neurological disorder that primarily affects girls and often causes children to lose motor skills and speech after initially developing normally. As a baby, Lily appeared to be thriving, but around age 2, Lily stopped using words she had learned and began having balance problems. Although her parents knew something was wrong, they spent 2 difficult years pursuing extensive testing before finally receiving a diagnosis through a blood test. I just felt like time was happening and she was progressing and getting worse, and I couldn't fix it, Jamie said. And as a mom, we're fixers. We kiss their boo boos when they fall, and I felt so helpless because I couldn't fix it. The diagnosis brought clarity, but it also came with grief. It just takes everything from them, and it's hard to watch your child develop and see their little personality and then watch it fade away. That's why prom night at Life Community Church in Greensboro became such an emotional milestone. The event is designed to celebrate teens like Lily with the full prom experience, including a limousine ride, a grand entrance, and dancing with friends. For Jamie, one moment captured the meaning of the night. She looked up at him, and just as normal and natural as could be, she put her arm on his shoulder. She knew what to do, Jamie said of Lily's dance with Oliver. Oliver's decision to attend prom with Lily stood out to her family as a meaningful expression of a friendship that has lasted their entire lives. He made sure his friend had a prom date and a night to remember. Oh, as a mom, I'm a little teary about that. I love that. That's beautiful. Mm. Whew. I'll tell you, these stories just get better and better. All right. After losing his wife, this retired Rhode Island man found healing by turning other people's trash into treasure. Hmm. What started as a way to cope with grief has become a source of purpose, friendship, and affordable treasures for one Rhode Island retiree. For years, John Jack Burnett has been a familiar face along Norwood Avenue in Warwick, Rhode Island. These days, his front lawn is often filled with bicycles, furniture, tools, and other items waiting for a second chance. But behind the collection of restored goods is a story about resilience and finding hope after heartbreak. Burnett and his wife Patricia built their life together in the neighborhood after moving there in 1976. He spent years working as a roofer before later becoming a high school custodian until retiring in 2020. Around the same time, his wife became seriously ill. She got rushed to the hospital 3 times. The third time, she passed away, Burnett recalled. She seemed like she was getting better, but she didn't. I did the best I could. The loss hit him hard. For about a year, I just didn't want to do anything, nothing, he said. But eventually something changed. Burnett began doing what he always enjoyed, fixing things. As he drove around Warwick, he started noting discard items sitting at the curb. If he thought he could repair them, he brought them home. Soon he was sanding, painting, repairing, and restoring everything from lawn equipment to patio furniture. What began as a hobby became a mission to keep myself busy and to help out. I pick up stuff and I fix it, Burnett said. Today, a large hand painted sign with his phone number sits among the ever changing selection on his lawn. The sales help supplement his fixed income, but Burnett says making money isn't the main goal. If I can help somebody else out and help myself out, that's what I do. His prices are intentionally low because he knows many families are struggling with rising costs. Money is tight, he said. If I can help somebody else out and help myself out, that's what I do. Recently, one customer was so touched by Burnett's story that she decided to share it on Facebook after buying a lawnmower from him. The response was overwhelming. She told me not to be mad at her, but she went on Facebook and told the whole world about me, Burnett said with a laugh. Soon, calls and messages started pouring in. People offered scrap metal, donated items, and reached out simply to support his efforts. The unexpected attention reminded Burnett of what he values most about his roadside project: the people. Mm, yes, gotta love that. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end of our show, so let's move right along. Well, this woman learned that, an injured crow was trapped in a home's rain gutter. She couldn't ignore it. Overhead, a flock of crows were already sounding the alarm, circling and dive bombing the area as if calling for help. I was really distressed, Leah recalled, and I knew I had to do something about it. The problem was that nobody nearby had a ladder tall enough to reach the trapped bird. Determined to help, Leah spotted a fire truck parked a few blocks away and decided to take a chance. I was like, "Hey, you look like you want to save a crow today," she said with a laugh. The firefighters happily stepped in, raising their ladder and freeing the injured bird. The firefighters were so gracious and wonderful, she said. My heart was so full. But the story didn't end there. After the rescue, Leah personally drove the crow to a wildlife rehabilitation center. During the trip, something happened that she still remembers vividly. He latched onto my finger and held on, she said. That was life changing. I wrapped him up, got him into the car. He was scared, injured, and exhausted. At one point, he wrapped his claws around my finger and just held on. I was on the phone with Wildlife Emergency trying to stay calm while he wouldn't let go. I will never forget that feeling. People talk about us having consciousness. Trust me, animals have consciousness. A few days later, she learned the crow had recovered and been released back into the wild. Soon afterwards, she experienced something she never expected. While walking her dog, a crow swooped down and dropped what she describes as a beautiful bundle of feathers at her feet. I was like, wow, this crow has given me a thank you gift. And that was just the beginning. Since then, Leah has received more than half a dozen offerings from crows, including sticks, balls of moss, and even a small bird's nest. What might seem unusual to others has become a meaningful reminder of her connection with the natural world. How beautiful is that story? Well, crows are pretty darn smart. Okay, last story of the night. In the land of infrastructure projects, activists and nature lovers saved endangered spoonbill habitat. Yes. Following 25 days of vigorous local campaigning, residents in the supposedly totalitarian country of China succeeded in halting highway construction that would have plowed through mudflats, which 49 species of bird rely on for dinner and rest. Among these is the spoon-billed sandpiper, a migratory shorebird with a global population of less than 500, and which is considered critically endangered by the IUCN. It's a story as old as the automobile. Straight roads make easy plans, and woe betide anything or any place, whether old growth forest or mudflat that is located along its path. So it was that on April 30th in southernmost province of Jiangxi, a highway plan was approved that would have severely impacted coastal mudflats that host 20,000 birds from 46 species, including migratory ones. Under Chinese law, access 7-mile long stretch highway killed sandpipers. this habitat saved. We're watching and now the good news. Good stuff for watching. Bye for now. Good night.